All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the update, because I know it's been about like 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks since the last update. I only thought it was two, but it's been a little longer than that because shit's been busy. And I know it takes a little bit of time for me to actually not just record this, but also prep the notes for this and then edit it and post it out and put it on Patreon, on YouTube. So I wanted to use those maybe 2-ish hours, maybe an hour and a half to focus on a lot of the stuff and the deadlines that I was trying to get ahead of instead of doing this one. But there's a lot to share with you guys. So first off, we're starting off with Temper Tantrum. I got my notes here, so if you see me looking off to the side. Okay, Temper Tantrum filmed a big batch of podcasts with Temper Tantrum on July 19th, going from hot seats with people who haven't been on the podcast yet. How we're going to fix the economy, how would we apologize if we were canceled, or what would we likely get canceled for, and things like that. We filmed about 10 episodes, all of which is done. I managed to get all that done within probably a day and a half. So shouts out to like systems and all that for creating all that. So the main thing that I usually do with Temper Tantrum when it comes to, I'd say, high volume amount of content creation and trying to put it out is we primarily batch process. We film at least 10 to 11 episodes in one 6 to 7 hour sitting. Obviously we take breaks in between, but we film a whole bunch. Some are 20 minutes, some are a little longer because they require a little bit more depth. And then from there I bring it into Premiere, clean up the audio in whatever way I can, or fix the audio because I overlooked something that day. And sometime lately that's kind of been happening because this one, we've been working with new mics and I kind of overlooked the leveling on that and we peaked a lot. And then, but I did my best to fix it. But along with that one, after that, I use something called Autopod that actually does the multi-camera editing, so I don't have to manually switch between the cameras when we're doing the podcasts. And then from there I just do a quick skim through of the things we talk about, take out things that I think are inappropriate, or any information that they might add that might potentially dox them, or like when they mention where they work, and I want to try to avoid that as much as possible. But yeah, and then from there make I'd say a vertical version that I upload onto Opus Clip, and we get a lot of the micro content there. Fortunately, thankfully for a lot of these tools, we're able to create the content and put it out a lot faster than we used to. Before, it would take about a few weeks or even months to get through all these episodes, because then we'd have the even with the Vision Paradox team, then we'd have the other client stuff coming in as well. So shouts out to a lot of these tools that help automate, or whether it's AI that help us get the best micro content out for social media, for the social postings. They've really been impactful in terms of how much faster we can actually deliver. Along with that, July 21st was the last trading day of the training session for Temper Tantrum, which also meant it was evaluation day. A lot of the dancers definitely showed up more prepared this time around. The first time around, it was new for everyone in terms of format, in terms of what to expect. There was one of the dancers that came unprepared that day, and I, as best as possible, was upfront about it. I mean, I was upfront about it, but I didn't fucking put them down to the point where, like, it hurt them. It's like I was holding them accountable. It's very stern. Like, you weren't prepared. This time around, that particular dancer was one of the most prepared and one of the most standout performers of that day. A lot of people were definitely more prepared in terms of like how well they knew the choreography. The ones who have a hard time with doing choreography put in reps days before, leading up to the evaluation day, which it really showed out. It really showed in their improvement. The general way in terms of us giving feedback is, well, at least for me, is 1, do they have the timing? 2, do they have the style? 3, are they performing? Because it's one thing to do the moves, but are you doing it like the choreographer? But if you can look like the choreographer, where's your face? Are you engaging and entertaining the audience? Because I want to be able to feel the emotion that you're doing it. You might feel it in here, but if it's not here, then I'm not a mind reader. So those are some of the criteria. A lot of it's subjective, but it's also like in terms of like feeling, but it's also, I'd say, even objective, because if you were to put like side by side the original choreographer and the dancer, you can tell if they look alike. Or if you look at a person dancing and if they don't have a face, objectively, they can either be look boring or they can look like they're having a time of their life. There's been moments where I've performed where I'm tired and I want to go to sleep, but I'm giving the biggest fucking smile because I've got a job to do and I want to make sure that I'm giving whoever's watching a good time as well. I'm giving them their give. It's all about the audience and make sure that they're enjoying the show. Um, yeah. So this I think has been one of the evaluations overall have been one of the, I'd say, force multipliers that has, one, kept our current dancers accountable, but also has help them grow, because no one at the end of the day, no one wants to look like an idiot in front of their peers. And I'm not saying we're doing this to make them look like idiots. The main thing is like that's the potential thing that may happen if you are not prepared, because most people don't show up. If I think I shared this previously, like most people don't show up unless there's skin in the game. Not everyone likes the doing the work for the sake of the work. Not everyone likes getting better for the sake of getting better, but they will show up if there's stakes. And like I said, it's been one of the more effective ways in keeping the dancers accountable and continue growing, because one of the common things, and it's not just for dance crews, it's just companies in general, is people can get complacent. People can get bored, and they stop growing. The motivation and the excitement and the novelty from day one is probably gone by day 365, because they're very familiar. They've figured out how to gamify and stay under the radar, and but still be there and still get paid or do the job. With this is essentially like more or less like a performance review. Some people, a lot of companies do that, but I don't know a whole bunch of dance crews that do performance reviews like this. Most of the time, after a year or after a season, they have to re-audition, so no spots are secured, and even then, a lot of I'd say veterans of the team have a sense of entitlement or comfort that sometimes they suck shit even during the audition. But doing the evaluations, when it's just them having to perform, and they know they're gonna get feedback, or they're gonna be watched by everyone, it's different versus you hiding with a group in an audition, and then it's the next group. With this, you dance and then you wait for us to give you feedback. Was it amazing? Was it bad? Was it like what needs to be worked on? Things like that. And I think this is something that we're going to definitely continue doing. Yeah. In terms of and then the following week, yeah, a lot's happened. July 27th, and this is just Temper Tantrum. We had auditions. We did crazy marketing for this. I did a lot of variety of content to get the awareness, from leveraging the CEO Coldplay kind of controversy happening, to a monster truck rally and late night kind of infomercial, the usual like audition flyer. We did as much volume as possible with that, and I still think we could have.
Sunday! Are you ready for the most explosive dance audition?
They weren't ready for the spotlight. Will you turn away when it's your turn? Well, here at Temper Tantrum, we don't hide from the spotlight. We own them. Auditions, July 27th. Be there.
Nobody said it was easy.
And then I also DM'd about 200 people. I almost feel like a little bit more in terms of trying to get the awareness there, because one of the things that I acknowledge is that that Temper Tantrum is relatively a nobody to a lot of people. We're not a Kinjas, we're not a Jabberwockies or a Royal Fam, or we're not even or any of the newer, competitive teams in the LA dance scene. So with that in mind, the only thing that makes sense to do is to tell people about it, and not just through social media postings. It's through actually hand to hand, like messaging people, because the worst that's going to happen is they say no, or they're not interested, or they just leave you unread. And I wasn't going to leave that up to chance. I did this for auditions 2 years ago. I didn't do it early this year because of the fires, but and it definitely brought out the results were of those 200 people, 9 showed up, 6 showed interest in 6 showed interest in online submissions, but 1 actually did the submission. So there was like 6, technically 6 online leads, but 1 actually converted. I did not put the numbers for the percentages for conversions, but you can see, like, I'd say that's about 15 people of that 200. It's a numbers game, and that's how I played it, because I could, again, do a post, hope a lot of people see it, or run ad spend on the highest performing post to get emails. But I knew the fastest way to get people more aware about it is to actually talk about it. And the way I did that, because I'm giving all the state secrets right now, is like I literally just went to anyone who shared a cast photo, who did Carnival, who was any dance studio who was tagged by a studio, and I looked through anyone who was tagged, DM'd them, and yeah, that was like the thing to do. Like, what else was there to do? Anyone who liked our post or saw our stories, everyone was gonna get a message, unless you were a member already, or unless you were a friend or a family member of like whoever, like you were gonna get a message. I was determined to make sure that we had a pretty good turnout this year, and it was pretty good. I'd say 16. I say 9 in person and 6 online yeses and 1 actually converted is pretty good, because I've been to auditions this year from bigger companies and corporations where the turnout was less than that. I'm okay with where we're at, considering that we're in terms of brand value, we're not a lot of us know us. I think it turned out pretty well. How much more people might have come had I messaged 300 people, 500 people, or even 1,000, might be a lot more. But then we would have had to start turning people away, because we would not have fit, because a lot of people, like, there was about 30-ish people in that room that day, and it was getting crowded. And I don't know if you've ever been to a catacall audition or anything like that. It sucks not having room to dance. So I was actually happy with the number that came through, because we had a bunch of new faces, but also we still had room to dance. Next thing, because it's already August 4th, August 3rd, yesterday we had, at the time of filming this, we had orientation, so introducing the new members, about how we work. We shared the finances, the brand growth, introduced how we communicate, how you handle absences, all that stuff, and essentially the big vision of what we're trying to do. So in terms of who we brought onto the team, we essentially kind of put everyone on, not because we needed numbers, but we saw potential. There was probably only 3 people we sort of said hardcore yeses to, but then everyone else, like 2 became swings, and essentially everyone else would have been a no. The argument was because we saw the potential, and the dancers that we've worked with who saw the potential are blossoming, or have blossomed with us long term, because we saw them from them when they were really rough in terms of their skill, but where they are now. It also helps build, I'd say, loyalty to the company. That sounds weird to say, but like because we've invested into them so long, it kind of builds a bond and a friendship, and one would say loyalty, because we invested into their skills for so long. And the deliberation process was actually much more intense this year, because there's not just the dance portion we do. We also do a group activity where you have to work with a team to put together choreography in a short amount of time, and then after that you have to do something called the culture fit survey, which is a very, like I say, 15 to 16 scenarios of different things that happen throughout that of actual situations, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just more which is more aligned for personal boundaries versus being able to commit to the team. And there's no right or wrong. It's more like which is more aligned in terms of what your commitment to the team, but also boundaries. One of the examples is holidays, and if we just so happen to set a rehearsal on a holiday weekend, and we ask you, I'd say last minute to do it, and that all depends on the individual. Some might say I'm going to keep my commitment to say like if there's a plan for a holiday event with family, I'm going to keep that commitment, and I'm going to have to skip out on the rehearsal, or I might not, and just not do it, not do the performance. That had the same weight, and I'd say, for lack of a better saying, correctness, as someone saying, "Oh, my I can always reschedule hanging out with family. I can go to rehearsals," because an answer like that requires a little bit more nuance and explanation. That one allows people to elaborate on their decision. Like, some people are very family oriented, and if it's a commitment, they'll definitely go to the holiday event. I would go to the holiday event especially if it's involving seeing my son. But for example, if there's a little bit of flexibility, and someone says, "Oh, my family can hangs out all day, and we're only rehearsing for 2 hours in the morning," I can make it work. That works too, and that answer is equally correct. So, which is one of the things I really like about this culture fit survey, because there's a lot of nuance. It allows for a lot of that, or not so much where it's ultimate self-sacrifice for the team, but also like sacrificing the team and like in making it transactional, making this a whole transactional relationship in terms of being here. Yeah, I really enjoyed putting that together and seeing how people scored. The minimum for in terms of perfect fit is 48 and above. A lot of people in the current team and in some of the newbies scored above a 48. Anything below 48 is technically a good fit, and anything I think below maybe a 30 something is a bad fit. I don't recall, but because a lot of people had really good scores. So going back to the audition process, we don't just, after the whole culture fit survey that they get to fill out, it took about 20 minutes, we do group interviews led by everyone from leadership. So everyone has their own group. They ask questions, more so to not just hear their answers, but to pay attention to body language. After that actual audition process was the deliberation. The first thing we do is a team deliberation, which is leadership talks with the team, because the team, during the group activity, it's members mixed in with auditionees, and then they give us feedback on how these auditionees performed, not just as a dancer from their observation, but how were they as a potential teammate that they might be dancing for a year. Because it's one thing as the leadership to see like, oh, they're a talented dancer, but it's another thing to have to be a coworker or a dancer dancing alongside with them. You don't know their personalities, but you can definitely see their talent or the skills. And more often than not, when you're auditioning, you want to put your best foot forward to the people casting, not so much to the people like side by side. So yeah, a lot of people in terms of the culture fit in perfectly. In terms of dancing, I think dancing is a skill that we can always that through reps and time they'll become the dancer we want them to be. But ultimately, the culture, I think, is more important along with the skill. And the main concern was also, like, someone brought this up, is like, what about putting together a good product? Or what if you accept people that don't meet the standard in terms of dance skill? Where does the product go? Does that dilute the product? Which is a valid concern, but how we're going to address that is, if you can execute it to the level that your artistic and creative directors are looking for, or that I'm looking for, you can be in it. If you cannot, don't expect to be able to do in it. You still need, that means you have a lot of work to do. In terms of expectations, through the orientation, like we immediately say like what you can expect from us, what we expect from you. One of the things we share is transparency. We share with them the financials. We share with them the process of how we pick to the members, We share with them how the brand is growing. We want to be as transparent as possible, because me coming from being a member of a dance company myself, like sometimes I just show up and I don't know what's happening. I'm like, why are we doing this? Or, there's rather than I feel like that transparency helps them be a little bit more empathetic to some of the hard decisions that we have to make sometimes. And not only that, in terms of the expectations, we also say that we want you to communicate. Be your word, 30% minimum participation. The only way you get kicked off the team are these certain ways. Yeah. And then not only that, and we're also kind of playful for that part. Something new that we added to the orientation was audition video feedback. So we, as a group, watched everyone's audition videos and primarily gave feedback to the veterans, because auditionees, they have a grace period because it's their first time dancing and potentially working with us. With the veterans, like, you've been dancing with us for a while. If you did good or if you fucked up, like, we get to give you feedback. Everyone gets to give you feedback, but not so much in the way where it's like we're tearing you down. It's more so like, you did good here, what can be fixed. It's almost like an evaluation, but this one is with the auditions. And we acknowledge that doing auditions is a skill itself. Having that mental capacity to stay focused, not let your nerves get to you, being a good auditioner takes a while. And I know not everyone in the team is going out doing auditions, but yeah, it's a similar concept to dailies. If you have ever worked in animation or in film, it's essentially you're watching the raw footage or a rough playback of an animation, and essentially the team or your art director or whoever the creative team is, they give you feedback, so that way you're going towards the right direction that's essentially relevant to the film. The same thing for us. We're essentially the auditions, we're essentially the dailies, and we're giving everyone feedback to make sure that they're still growing, but also growing towards the way that we need them to be. Okay. Oh God, there's a lot of updates for Temper Tantrum. That just happened within 2.5 weeks. My God. Okay, so Temper Tantrum also got booked for 2 festivals. One is called the Pistahan Festival. The other one was for South LA Pride. We were super excited to be able to do both events, because Pistahan Festival is in San Francisco and was happening on August 9th, and South LA Pride, we originally applied for August 10th, but unfortunately they're not doing August 10th. It's only August 9th now, so we had to pick one or the other. So we decided to not do Pistahan. We decided to do South LA Pride because the creative director has been wanting us to do more Pride events, because if we get this one Pride festival, it's likely we'll get to the other Pride festivals that pay. And as much as I wanted to do Pistahan, and honestly, I agree, and it's been something on our bucket list for a while, but also seeing that there's a lot of Filipino festivals that we could potentially perform at and also potentially get paid at as well, that's something that I want us to look more into as well. It's unfortunate that it happened on the same date. I would have loved for us to go to San Francisco, but considering there's a whole bunch of other things we're doing this year that's going to cost a lot of money, not going to Pistahan saved us money on rentals and on hotels. Performing at South LA Pride, it's a little closer. It's a little bit more aligned on the goal that we've been wanting to do for several years already. Honestly, this was a hard decision because we would have loved to do both, but ultimately it came down to like which one is something that we've been like wanting to do for a while, which is more aligned to our goal, and which is a little bit more financially feasible, or which one doesn't make us, which one kind of saves us money. And ultimately that landed with South LA Pride. There's always next year. I would love for us to go up there. And they even offered us to perform for 30 minutes on Sunday, which is one of their bigger events. And I would have loved to do that. I think it's one of those things that personally for me is aligned, is having us perform outside of LA. We did it with World of Dance Las Vegas, which is a good start. I would love for us to go to San Francisco just to experience just to experience the feeling of performing at a completely different city. I think I loved that experience when I was touring, and I would love to do this with something that I'm creating with Temper Tantrum. Ultimately, South LA Pride was way more aligned with right now. All right, so before I wrap it up here with Temper Tantrum, we are selling merch. We are selling shirts, sweaters, And if you want to get some of that, the links are down below. It is gonna help us with our upcoming show in terms of booking the venue. And if you get a shirt or a sweater, you get discounts for the upcoming show. You also get a button and some photo cards. So links down below. It should be the first link in this YouTube video or on the Patreon, wherever the heck you're watching this. We'd love your support. We're actually limiting how much people can buy this because we don't want like 500 people getting discount for all our upcoming shows. Because once you get this shirt, it's our first official team merch. Whoever gets the shirt gets essentially forever discounts for our upcoming shows. So with that, we're also limiting it to how many people can get it. So get your shirt before we stop selling it. In terms of Vision Paradox, I'd say this one's a shorter update. Maybe I should have started this one. Film new content with clients, and it's essentially going underway with post-production. How we generally manage clients, expectations with post-production. I think the clients our current clients have been pretty good about managing their expectations with the post-production phase. They know that it takes a while, and that the filming part is generally the fastest part. It's usually the pre-production, filming, not so long, and then post-production. It's the pre and the post that usually take the most amount of time. And I think they've been very understanding about how long it takes. Fortunately, the content that they're making isn't like a commercial, or it isn't a short film or a documentary. These are podcasts and reactions that they're doing as well. And as I said in a previous video, my goal with them right now is consistency on formats that are working on other content creators in the same niche. Yeah, so the way we're doing that is filming podcasts, doing reactions, again, low cost, high impact for consistency, potential high impact for reach. So we do that same thing with Tantrum, batch filming, batch editing, distribute, rinse, repeat, and then that gives us a little bit more flexibility for more things to experiment with. So rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, I see what other people are doing that are relevant for the clients in the client's same niche or genre or category, have them do something similar with their own take on it, distribute that, and then we experiment, then we play. So not only that, Vision Paradox also got to help Ochacha just a little bit with their marketing strategy, because when we were talking with Noelle, the head of Ochacha, there was a huge demand for AX this year. There's a huge demand for the butlers and maids at Anime Expo, but their group wasn't there this year, so there was a huge demand for them and people asking for it. So we decided to suggest that a handful of the content that they create is using that angle of, did you miss us at Anime Expo? So did we. And then essentially, but you can still come watch us at this event. So I thought that was the angle that we suggested. Hopping onto Ochacha now, they are having their first pop-up show this weekend for the butlers. The maid show unfortunately canceled, but it is being moved because the show owner only wanted one show for the month, and I believe they managed to make it work. I'm not heavily involved in the operations. I'm primarily the advisor. The upside is that the Butler night show is sold out, and there's only, I believe, a handful of tickets left for the day show. So I'm excited. It's their first pop-up. Vision Paradox is going to be there to help film, not just the behind the scenes, not just to film the show, but also this content will be used as proof of concept for when they pitch this to other restaurants or places for their future pop-ups. But in terms of the marketing, in terms of the ticket sales, that's more all on them. If it were up to me, I'd be very, very aggressive on how often we'd be posting about it and where we'd be posting about it, and who we'd be reaching out to. Like if I were doing all the marketing, I'd probably be sharing this on Facebook groups, probably posting this at minimum once a day, especially on the week of the show. And I'll be DMing a lot of people who are the followers. I'd probably be DMing anyone who went to Anime Expo. And I'd probably, if there's an email list, I'm not sure if they have an email list, but if there was an email list, I'd be letting them know. But yeah, those are just the avenues off the top of my head of what I would pursue to really sell out both shows. So in terms of Emeroy TV, new vlogs are coming out. I took one of the weeks just to focus on editing vlogs because What if you could visit a specific moment in your past and uncover lessons you never saw? My name is Emeroy. This is Fragments in Time, where I revisit my journey as an entrepreneur. It's a wrap. Woo! Like literally 4 clients just came in. My business partner has decided to bounce out from the business. Dancer. And dad. You're gonna be amazing.
When they're going to best adventures. Please. And my meeting, and editing, everything.
With something that I couldn't have had back then. The perspective that comes only through living through it all. Because the most important discoveries aren't just what you learn in the moment, they're what time teaches you about which moments really counted.
Fragments of time, see how we shine. There it goes. Give you something new for the mind. Give you something real to remind. New piece to find, new piece of.
One of the reasons I got on YouTube is I like the idea of vlogging. I like the idea of I love the idea of documenting and capturing the memories. It's my way of like cheating time or capturing a fragment of time, so that way I can always go back, watch it, and enjoy it, and and see it in accuracy. Because most memories that we have are an interpretation based off the emotion of the event and based off the interpretation of our filters that we have in our minds. Anyways, like I like just the documenting process because and especially how I'm approaching it, because I'm like 6 years behind, 6 years backlogged on vlogs. I get to do it in a completely different way of how a lot of vloggers do it, because I think a lot of vloggers that I know of, they primarily look at it like, oh, here's what happened this week, or here's what happened at a recent event, or here's a specific story I want to tell. This one, I'm approaching it as me kind of looking through like a family photo album. If you guys know what photo albums are, it's a book with photos from your that your grandma and your mom put together, and it's almost like a It's almost like a scrapbook, but it's a little bit more neater. The way it's similar to that. I look at old footage, raw footage, and I essentially share my thoughts of what's happening at that moment, but also the insights of what I was thinking about, but also the lessons I'm taking away looking back. Because when I look at myself from like 6 years ago, I feel like a different person because I know who that person was and I know what happened to get me to where I am now. And it's almost like, man, it's almost like thinking like, if only my 20-year-old self knew what was about to happen. And it's kind of fun, being able to do that. Yeah, so if you guys want to check that out, it'll be coming out. I'll be releasing it here as well, but I do have a vlog channel as well. That one's primarily for archiving things in chronological order, and it's more dedicated to the vlog stuff, because when uploading it here, things get really convoluted and I won't be able to find it easily. But the vlog channel is primarily for me, my family, and anyone else who wants to watch things from, I think I started vlogging back in 2016 all the way to now in chronological order. And one of the cool things too is that my son actually likes watching this with me. Primarily the ones that are usually involved with him, because he gets to relive those moments or even see moments that he wasn't, conscious enough yet, like when he was 4. So, and then he gets to see that, and I get to tell him stories of what was happening at that time. So I think that's where the vlogging aspect for me is, that's where it fulfills me. I'm not really trying to make money off it. I'm really just trying to tell stories off it. Money would be cool, but it was nice to reconnect doing that. In terms of other stuff, Max and I filmed a few episodes on the Awkward Tea Party. At one point with your group of friends was the last time you guys hung out, and then you guys never hung out again. That was the last time that I would be living under the same roof as my son, and he was barely 1.
We thought it was going to go this way forever, and then it doesn't. There will be a time where you can't help but be sad about it a little bit.
About our experience performing at Six Flags for the early spring, right? Early summer, and then this week I'm heavily working on reactions. I'm experimenting with a new format for Temper Tantrums content, so I'm It likely when this is out, you'll see the new content or the new format. Let me know how that format is, and if you guys happen to be watching this and the reaction videos as well. But yeah, in terms of other reactions for the Patreon, we're still working on World Street Woman Fighter. We're gonna be we just started Street Dance Girls Fighter. Really like that show. Episode 1 got me in tears, and I love that the first episode was already like essentially an audition, and there was so much dancing already. These kids, man. Oof, it made me feel like excited, because from the perspective of a kid, like this is me. If I was in the perspective of that kid, I'm like, man, I get to potentially dance with my heroes, but also as a now a much older person, like seeing like the kids in their town, I'm like, damn, you guys are gonna be beasts. It's like they're what, teenagers? So 16, 17, 13, like if you just kept at it for another 10 years, you'll still be 23. You can still get work. You'll be like 20 times better. Just the potential of what you can be. So it's like seeing both perspectives, because I've lived both perspectives, is cool. There's a lot of content coming out in terms of Emeroy the dancer, because this update is everything I'm up to. Audition for Six Flags Fright Fest last week, 2 weeks ago. I got booked to be the swing. I don't mind being the swing, because from what I know, the choreography is going to be more femme voguing, which is more out of my wheelhouse. I'll do it because I learned a little bit, and I learned enough from from Lauren and some of the gigs I've done, but I'm not proficient at it. I'd much rather give that spot to someone who can kill it for sure. So I don't mind being a swing. That means, if you don't know what a swing is, essentially, if you haven't done theater, specifically for dance, you learn all the roles, so you can be put in at a moment's notice, or if someone's unable to do the job, or if someone gets injured, you're put into the spot. In terms of how do I know that I'm not the right person for the job, is because I know my skill set. I know I'm aware of my body of work. Like I'm a b-boy. I do hip hop choreography. I do commercial choreography. I do locking, and again, none of that screams femme. I do have a little bit of training in Vogue now, a little bit of training in jazz funk. I can do a little bit of technique. I have a double, but that doesn't mean I'm a jazz dancer. Doesn't mean I do Vogue. Doesn't mean I'm a jazz funk dancer. I know a little bit, enough to pass and probably be in the 5th row. And even then, I would much rather give it to someone who deserves it and who really wants it, because I personally would not, with my skill set, would not want it. Is it something, a skill that I can improve on and get booked for? Yeah, but it's not something that I want to pursue and want to get good at. And exciting news for that too is also Lauren is one of the choreographers for Six Flags Fright Fest. Lauren is one of my partners, and I think what made this audition different was obviously my partner or girlfriend was the one of the people casting. That definitely made it interesting and different, but it's also I understood, and I shared this when I was doing the vlog portion of this. I'll understand if I don't get booked for this, because she didn't show me the choreography at home. She didn't teach it to me. I went into it as an auditionee like everyone else, and I wanted to earn it. And when she was finally able to disclose to me what the direction they're going for, I was like, yeah, I'm okay if I'm not in it. Because their routine last year was the theme was aliens, but it had some popping and breaking, which was more my wheelhouse, which is what I was hoping for this year. That's not the case. Completely different direction. I'm okay. And then if I'd like to be the throwaway b-boy who does something else, something for a wow factor real quick and come out, I can do that. But if you're looking for me to do femme, I'll probably be like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 3 out of 10 compared to someone who's actually done it and who actually deserves the spot. Yeah, I would not want it, honestly. Say even if Lauren decided to cast me just because I was her boyfriend, I would not want it for someone who I saw was better than me, because I think the person who did the better job would have deserved it, which is why I'm okay with being a swing, because I probably don't have to work. Well, I have to learn all the pieces, but at least one, it shows that what I did was passable, but two, it also shows that someone who deserves it got it. So, lesson of the video or the past 3 weeks. Whew, I think this is a good reminder. I think one that's really resonated with me is signal versus noise. There's this one podcast from Diary of a CEO of like signal versus noise. Signal meaning like the things that are important versus noise, and like what are the top 3 things that are critical to your business that you need to get done within the next 18 hours. Not for the bigger vision, not the thing that will pan out within 6 months. What's the 3 critical items that you need to do within the next 18 hours, and then that's how you know that's the thing that you need to do. Which is I think another useful framework. I know productivity can be like a joke or a meme for some people, but I also know that productivity is very personal in terms of like how knowing oneself and how they can operate and where they can really best be their best selves to execute. And I made a video a long while ago in terms of like trimming the fat from your to-do list. The usual way I go about it is like which is the thing you're avoiding, which is the domino effect that will make everything else easier, and now this one, which helps, like which is the top 3 things that need to get done within 18 hours. Within that framework, addresses those 2 things, because if the top 3 things that need to get done within 18 hours usually means something you're avoiding or something that will be a domino effect for everything else. So I think that's been a pretty powerful framework. And then that also leads to the other lesson of do the unscalable. So meaning before you can start automating things, you do the actual hand-to-hand, get your hands dirty kind of work. Figuratively at this point, because I'm not doing construction or actually landscaping. For this, the example is I DM'd 200 people, I think a little bit more, in terms of getting people to the audition, knowing that it's a numbers game and people will eventually show up the more people I message. I edited 10 podcasts in one night, and by the I think next day or the day after, everything was completely done. I got everything edited. It was just a matter of distribution the following days, because YouTube thumbnails, descriptions, the micro content, that took a little bit. I don't have an editor anymore because we can't afford it, so I have to do it myself. The only thing I can do is, if I don't have the money to pay, I pay with time. How I decide something's worth doing manually versus something systematizing something. Something I know that's worth doing manually is something, for example, the DMing. That is, considering that Temper Tantrums, I'd say brand or awareness is relatively small to a lot of teams. That just makes sense. If I want people to know about it, I gotta DM people and message them about it. One can say that you can use a DMing software like a autoresponder or whatever to hit people up based off the hashtags, but honestly, I know that can save me a whole lot of time, but I kind of wanted to go with a more personal approach. Even though I would consider the message that we put out a little bit more generic, there's a certain tone that I like to write the copy, and those certain things I like to address in the messages that makes it feel like a regular person is messaging them versus just like a mass message. Then a lot of us get a lot of very salesy, pitchy DMs on our Instagram, and a lot of us have gotten that. Something I'd much rather systematize, for example, would be the micro content. We used to do that all manually, but that was insanely time consuming, because before being able to edit transcripts like Descript, and now it's on Premiere, we had to scrub through everything. The way we did it, I listened to the podcasts at probably 2x speed. I would put markers on moments that I thought were good, and then I do another pass to make everything into the appropriate length and moments, and then subtitle it, and that would probably take about a week. But now, thanks to things like Opus Clip, We have an affiliate link to that if you want to check it out. That does help us out. Things like Opus Clip do save us a lot of time. Like we literally, for example, for when we do the micro content for the reactions or even the podcasts, we get maybe 30 to 40 pieces of micro content, and we only use maybe 5 to 10 if it's okay, and maybe at max 20 if there's a lot of good ones, and at minimum, like if there's not a lot of good ones, maybe 2 or 3. Though we still go through the manual part of watching and reviewing the micro content. It has saved us a lot of time of looking for it. Now it's a matter of of the AI doing its job. Like, all right, here's what I found based off the prompt that you asked for, and then it's our job now. It's essentially as the I guess the creative directors to be like, this is good, that's not good, the hook's terrible. Yeah. So that part is still manual, but finding the micro content way faster, because we essentially get a lot of it done in one day versus 1 week. I think in terms of like comparison, like if it would probably, if back then it took us a week to get one video, it was like worth of micro content that probably generated maybe 6 to 7. Like we can probably knock out, if we just dedicated a day of doing micro content, we would probably knock out maybe 3 to 4 podcasts worth of micro content, and that's a lot. When I look at the content library for both Emeroy TV and Temper Tantrum, I haven't been able to work on Vision Paradox lately, but those two already have minimum 3 posts a day, at max 5 to 6 posts a day. And that was based off content that we created probably back in May. And now we're adding this on top of the new stuff we created. And it's looking like we either post 10 times a day, or we start pushing it out to the end of the year. And we prioritize the more relevant type of content to the current week. Whether if it's a dance video, we try to keep that current. If it's a trending topic like the CEO Coldplay incident thing, that'd be more current, and we'd put that right away, or push another piece of content to another day. But if it's something that's a little bit more evergreen, we schedule it out probably further ahead of time, because evergreen content usually just tends to do, like, it's evergreen. It's gonna do fine whether you post it tomorrow or next year. So that's it. Hope you guys. Oh my God, this is an hour in terms of filming this. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys are actually enjoying these weekly updates. Comment down below your updates and what you've been up to. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks if you're listening here. I appreciate you.